tell us how big is this development as far as this war between Israel and Hezbollah is concerned? The killing of the top commander, the supreme leader of Hezbollah, the group.
Yes, good evening. I would say that the killing of the leader of Hezbollah, the leader has been there for 32 years, is one of the biggest intelligent achievements in Israel's history. I think that this would actually bring Hezbollah to a dilemma, whether they are capable to continue and operating in the same way, whether they are interested in following their ideology all the way, continuing to attack Israel, continuing to develop their international mechanism where they're trying to target Israeli targets or Jewish targets, or are they willing to start a new era, just like you mentioned the name of the operation. Now, the next couple of days will know which direction they're taking. In the meantime, there are still many other targets in Lebanon, Hezbollah targets, which the IDF is continuing to attack. And actually, I can tell you that since yesterday until today, there were approximately 160 targets that Israel has targeted. Now, Hezbollah is not an organization that was built yesterday. It was built decades ago, so you can surely understand the amount of weapons and ammunition and strategic capabilities that it built with the Iranian money, with the Iranian directives, with the Iranian training. So right now we are checking the boundaries. Right now we are checking what will be the next steps of Hezbollah. We see a lot of confusion there. We see a lot of shock. And you mentioned a long list of top terrorist leaders of Hezbollah. The organization needs to regroup completely, but I do want to mention they still have a significant arsenal of weapons.
Okay. You still feel they have a significant arsenal of weapons. And before I talk to you about the implication of this as far as the crisis in the Middle East that we are seeing right now, you know, we have also got a reaction from Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei, who has been taken to an undisclosed secure location. His statement soon after the elimination of the top leader of Hezbollah seemed to suggest that, you know, killing of these top leaders is not going to bring the group down on its knees. Do you see that as a warning? What do you expect Iran to do next? Because we all know, you know, the kind of support that Hezbollah as a group has been getting from Iran. That's what, you know, the belief is. And do you expect revenge from Iran, or do you expect restraint from Iran in a situation like this?
So my understanding of the comment is a little bit different than yours. I think it's a very lukewarm comment, a very short one also, just a few lines long. If Iran would be in a different mode of an attack, of a retaliation, of revenge, the reaction should be totally different. Something in the lines of, the Israeli enemy will pay a very heavy price. They will not know what hit them. They will be regretting forever what they did, and so on and so forth. That was not the rhetoric of the comment. Now, let's look back a few months to April 14th, and that was actually the day that Iran, for the first time in its history, attacked Israel directly. What did they try to do? They tried to fly to Israel more than 300 ballistic missiles, rockets, and explosive drones. Only 7, although out of this huge number, I mean, no other country has been attacked with this number simultaneously, only 7 actually infiltrated Israeli airspace. In other words, Iran has failed. So let's say Iran would be willing to retaliate in the name of Hezbollah in some way or another. They would have to look back to April and actually learn their lessons, what worked and what did not work. I'm sure they will not want to fail again and then be ridiculed all over the world with their mistakes. So I'm not sure that Iran will retaliate very quickly or at all. And if it will, it doesn't necessarily have to be in Israel. One of the options, for example, is attacking or trying to attack Israeli embassies or Jewish centers worldwide. As we know, both Iran and Hezbollah have this international mechanism in which they hire people, they pay salaries, and they try to plan assassinations of Israelis all over the world. So that's also an option.
But do you see that happening, given how the top leadership, if I can safely say, of Hezbollah as a group has been wiped off completely? Or do you think soon there is going to be a new name, succession planning has probably happened, and we will see somebody new taking over the reins the way it has happened in the past? Ms. Leibovich, can you hear me?
Yes, I mean, Hezbollah was usually very quick. Yes, Hezbollah is usually very quick to appoint replacements. And even if Nasrallah will have his cousin, for example, Hisham, as a replacement, we still need to keep in mind that the directive is given by Iran. It's the funder, it's the order giver, and it's the weapon provider. So even if it's another person with another name, still very ideological, just like the other Hezbollah members, Iran is behind this. Now, if I'm looking ahead to the next couple of months, let's see what are the options that we have in the current situation. Number one is to continue, from an Israeli perspective, of course, to continue and take down the threat, which is still looming, because Hezbollah still has launchers and hundreds of thousands of rockets and drones and drone factories. So that's number one. Israel could decide now to continue and work from the air, maybe from different areas. Today, the Navy also participating in some of the strikes, until it reaches some sort of stability in terms of eliminating Hezbollah. That's one option.
Okay.
The second option is negotiation for a diplomatic solution. Now, negotiation for diplomatic solution could be done in two ways, or under fire, or under ceasefire. The Israeli Prime Minister is due to land in Israel in 3 hours. We'll take the cabinet for a meeting, and then we'll decide the next steps. These are the two relevant options as we're speaking.
Right. And one last question before I let you go, a very quick one. You know, it seemed like a very precise, pre-planned operation, this Operation New Order by the IDF. How does it really happen? Because it seems even the US had no idea about what's going to happen. What do we make of it? How is this, something like this, really planned?
Yeah, so the targets inside Lebanon, the Hezbollah targets, have been collected by the Israeli intelligence for many, many years. This is not something that started on October 7th, and this is not something that started 3 years ago. It actually started with the founding of Hezbollah, and the targets are being examined. The list is very, very long. Israel is holding a very long list of Hezbollah targets. And of course, Israel proved that this list is actually very accurate. Now, in addition to this, you need the relevant weapons in order to make sure that you target only the terrorists and as little harm to civilians as possible. So specific weapons are being used to minimize harm, and also very accurate in order to target those terror sites.
All right, Ms. Leibovich, thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now and sharing with us your views on this big story. We'll have to see how Iran really responds to it. But the big story today is that the chief of Hezbollah has been killed. And this is something that IDF announced earlier.